Avengers: Endgame is a thrilling and epic superhero film that serves as the culmination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga. The movie picks up after the devastating events of Avengers: Infinity War. Thanos, having successfully acquired all 6 Infinity Stones, snapped his fingers, wiping out half of all life in the universe. The surviving heroes are left to grapple with the loss and devastation. The film begins with Clint Barton teaching his daughter archery on their remote farm, enjoying a peaceful moment with his family. However, their tranquility is shattered when Clint's daughter suddenly disappears, followed by the rest of his family, as half of all life in the universe is disintegrated due to Thanos' snap, which occurred after he gathered all 6 Infinity Stones. Meanwhile, Nebula and Tony Stark find themselves stranded in space after their confrontation with Thanos on Titan. They are eventually rescued and brought back to Earth by Carol Danvers. There, they reunite with a group of surviving Avengers, including Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, Rocket, Thor, and James Rhodes. Together, they devise a plan to retrieve the Infinity Stones from Thanos and use them to reverse his catastrophic actions. Upon tracking down Thanos, the Avengers discover that he has already used the stones a second time to destroy them, rendering them useless. Thanos explains that the stones no longer serve any purpose but temptation. He also stated that he is inevitable. This revelation infuriates Thor, who beheads Thanos, expressing regret for not doing so during their encounter in Wakanda. After a 5-year gap, Scott Lang manages to escape from the quantum realm, only to find that his daughter Cassie has grown into a teenager, and Hope Van Dyne, like half of the population, has vanished in the snap. During this time, Steve Rogers has been leading support sessions to help those still struggling with the snap's effects, while Natasha Romanoff tirelessly watches over Earth and the rest of the universe, aided by James Rhodes, Carol Danvers, Okoye, Rocket, and Nebula. Scott approaches Natasha and Steve, explaining that although 5 years have passed for them, he experienced just 5 hours within the quantum realm. He goes on to reveal that time behaves differently there, highlighting the significant time differential he encountered. The three approach Stark, who is currently raising a child with Pepper Potts. They present their theory that the quantum realm could potentially be utilized to travel back in time and retrieve the Infinity Stones before Thanos can acquire them. Initially, Stark rejects the idea due to concerns about jeopardizing his family and the newfound peace he has discovered. However, after reflecting on the loss of Peter Parker, he decides to experiment with theoretical models that could function with Lang's quantum tunnel. Eventually, he finds a working model. With Stark now on board, the remaining Avengers embark on reassembling their team. Bruce Banner has successfully integrated his own consciousness with the Hulk's, merging them into a single entity. Romanoff, upon receiving reports from Rhodes about an assassin operating similarly to Barton, goes in search of him. Barton, overwhelmed by grief following his family's loss, has been operating under the alias Ronin. He's been mercilessly targeting criminal cartels and gangs worldwide, driven by a desire to make the remaining world a better place. Natasha eventually tracks him down in Japan, and after some persuasion, he agrees to rejoin the team with the hope of bringing his family back. Banner and Rocket visit the small town of New Asgard, where Valkyrie and the remaining Asgardian survivors reside. There, they discover Thor, who has been struggling with profound guilt for not defeating Thanos in Wakanda. Thor's appearance has changed significantly. He's put on weight, his hair and beard are unruly, and he's immersed himself in a life of junk food, excessive drinking, and online gaming with his pals Korg and Meek, playing Fortnite. After some persuasive efforts by Rocket and Banner, Thor reluctantly consents to rejoin the Avengers. After successfully testing the quantum time machine on Barton, who verifies its functionality, the Avengers regroup with a plan. Banner, Rogers, Lang, and Stark set out to retrieve the time, mind, and space stones during the Battle of New York in 2012. Banner heads to the Sanctum Sanctorum, where he has a conversation with the Ancient One. She initially expresses concern about giving up the Time Stone, explaining that it would disrupt the intended sequence of events, including Stephen Strange's efforts to thwart Caecilius. However, Banner convinces her by revealing that Strange willingly handed over the Time Stone to Thanos. This implies that Strange's actions were part of a plan to ensure Thanos' ultimate defeat. Banner promises to return the stones to their respective timelines to prevent any negative consequences. Meanwhile, Lang and Stark attempt to retrieve the Space Stone after the Avengers have taken it from Loki. During their mission, Lang disrupts Stark's past self by triggering a minor cardiac incident through his artificial heart, while Stark seizes the opportunity to swipe the briefcase containing the Tesseract unnoticed. However, their scheme goes awry when Stark fumbles the briefcase after an accidental encounter with the Hulk. This mishap allows Loki to snatch the Space Stone and use it to evade capture. On a different front, Rogers manages to purloin the Mind Stone from undercover Hydra agents, but in a twist of events, he crosses paths with his past self, who misinterprets him as a disguised Loki. Following his confrontation with his past self, Rogers reunites with Stark and Lang. They face the challenge of procuring the Space Stone without depleting their finite Pym particles that facilitate quantum realm travel. Lang successfully travels back to the present with the Mind Stone, while Rogers and Stark hatch a scheme to liberate the Space Stone from a 1970s US Army facility. In addition to this, they intend to secure additional vials of Pym particles to ensure their return home. During this mission, Rogers catches a glimpse of Peggy Carter, and Stark engages in a heartfelt conversation with his father, Howard. Rocket and Thor journey to Asgard with the aim of securing the Reality Stone before Malekith has a chance to exploit its power across the 9 realms. During their time in Asgard, Thor is confronted with the impending loss of his mother, Frigga, and has a poignant encounter with her. Meanwhile, Rocket manages to abscond with the Ether, which is the liquefied form of the Reality Stone, from Jane Foster. While interacting with his mother, Frigga offers Thor guidance and support, and he is thrilled to realize that he is still deemed worthy of wielding his mighty hammer, Mjolnir. Subsequently, they make their way back to Earth. Nebula and Rhodes journey to Morag with the goal of procuring the Power Stone before Peter Quill can get to it. Upon their return to the present with the Power Stone, Nebula experiences a malfunction, leaving her stranded on Morag. This malfunction results in 2 separate consciousnesses operating within Nebula's systems. Thanos and Ebony Maw become aware of the presence of the future Nebula and embark on a mission to capture her. Nebula becomes aware of the dire situation and attempts to alert the others, but her warning comes too late. Thanos proceeds to scan her memories, uncovering the Avengers' plan. He then dispatches the more loyal, past version of Nebula back to the present with the intention of using her as a spy. Barton and Romanoff journey to Vormir with the aim of securing the Soul Stone, but they face a moral dilemma when Red Skull, the guardian of the stone, reveals that it can only be acquired by sacrificing someone they hold dear. A heated dispute ensues as they both grapple with the decision of who should make the sacrifice. Ultimately, Romanoff succeeded in giving up her life, allowing Barton to return to Earth with the Soul Stone, deeply distressed by the loss of his friend. Upon returning to the present on Earth, they all mourned for the loss of Natalie, and decided they have to make her sacrifice worth it. Stark, Rocket, and Banner take on the task of creating a gauntlet capable of harnessing the power of the stones, using nanotechnology similar to Stark's latest Iron Man suit. Banner bravely offers to wear the gauntlet and undo the effects of Thanos' snap, knowing he can endure the intense gamma radiation and the excruciating pain and injuries associated with wielding the stones. Despite the immense challenge, Banner successfully restores those who vanished due to Thanos' actions. Their joy is short-lived as they come under attack from Thanos, who has been transported to Earth by the deceptive Nebula, inadvertently causing damage to the quantum portal in the process. Thanos devastates the Avengers headquarters, shattering the team and entrusting Barton with the responsibility of safeguarding the gauntlet. Past Nebula, who seeks to seize the Infinity Stones from Barton, meets her demise at the hands of her future self. Meanwhile, Rogers, Thor, and Stark confront Thanos, who opts to harness the power of the Infinity Stones to annihilate the universe and reshape it according to his vision. The trio engages in individual battles against Thanos, with Rogers affirming Thor's belief in his worthiness to wield Mjolnir, but ultimately, they all find themselves overpowered by the formidable foe. Shortly after Thanos' army arrives on Earth, T'Challa emerges before Rogers, accompanied by all the resurrected Avengers and their allies thanks to Banner. Together, they initiate an attack on Thanos and his forces.
Assemble.
Following an extended skirmish in which Stark reunites with Parker and Quill reconnects with the past Gamora, Thanos engages in a fierce struggle with multiple Avengers to obtain the Infinity Stones. While ensnared by Wanda Maximoff's energy, Thanos commands Glaive to unleash a barrage of energy blasts from his ship, nearly thwarting the Avengers' endeavors. In a moment of salvation, Captain Marvel returns, simultaneously battling for control of the gauntlet. With the team's backing, she soared directly toward the van housing the quantum tunnel. Nevertheless, Thanos obliterated it with his weapon. After prevailing over Stark, Rogers, and Thor, and outwitting Captain Marvel, Thanos effectively donned the gauntlet. However, employing the nanotech from the freshly crafted gauntlet, Stark skillfully transfers the Infinity Stones from Thanos' grasp to his own. He declares triumphantly,
I am Iron Man.
And deploys their power to disintegrate Thanos and his entire army into dust. Parker and Potts offer solace to Stark as he succumbs to the lethal radiation emitted by the stones. After the battle, the Avengers organize a solemn funeral for Stark, where his original Mark I arc reactor is set adrift on the lake adjacent to his residence. Barton and Wanda Maximoff find comfort in the knowledge that their victory over Thanos would be a source of pride for Romanoff and Vision, who were absent during the snap. Thor appoints Valkyrie as the Queen of Asgard and opts to join the Guardians of the Galaxy, embarking on a quest to discover his true purpose and liberating himself from the responsibilities of royalty and leadership for the first time in his life. Barton returns to his family, and Parker resumes his education, reuniting with his best friend Ned at school. Simultaneously, Rogers is assigned the duty of journeying into the past to restore the stones and Thor's hammer to their respective time periods. However, he makes the choice to forego returning to the present and opts to spend the remainder of his days in the past with Carter. As an elderly man, he re-emerges before Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes and bequeaths his shield and the Captain America title to Wilson. In a quick flashback, Rogers and Carter are seen in an unassuming house, finally indulging in the dance they had longed for in their own living room, experiencing genuine happiness at last. And the movie ends here. Thank you for watching, and I highly recommend watching the entire movie as it is incredibly enjoyable. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, so you can stay updated and receive notifications whenever we upload new videos.